Good morning from paradise. I'm Crypto Amaru. Got Crypto Hitman in the house. A lot to catch up with today. We had the debate last night. Kamala Trump. We'll dive into that. What does that mean for the markets? CPI reading has just come out. What's coming up on the horizon here? We got the Fed rate cut coming on the 17th. Actually, it's the 18th, I believe. The meeting is the 17th and the 18th. But anyway, a lot to touch on. So markets correcting a little bit today. Is that the reaction to the consensus that Kamala won the debate? Is that related to something else? Related to something macro, perhaps? I'm not sure. Let's dive into that. What are your thoughts on the debate? First reactions.
Well, I think the debate doesn't help the markets. I think it's market reacting a little bit. I mean, percentage wise, not much, but still $1,000 is $1,000 lower. Bitcoin, obviously, it was on ABC. I think on 100% of their posts about Kamala were positive. Only 7% of the posts about Trump are positive. So you knew this wasn't going to be easy going in if you're a Trump supporter. Nonetheless, the debate happened. I think the debate kind of was a nothing burger. Nothing really changed on either side. A lot of the same lies from Trump, a lot of the same lies from Kamala Harris. No real policy, a lot of vagueness on both sides. To me, it's look, we had 4 years of one, we had 3.5 years of another. There is no I can do this, I can do that. You already showed what you can do, and you can make your decision on that. The other thing that I think is dragging the market a little bit today is the CPI numbers did come in at 2.5%. Expectation was 2.6%. This to me tells me instead of a 0.5% cut, they might lean towards a 0.25% cut, or even more devastating for the short term in the market would be a 0% cut. So I don't know what your opinion is on that. I still think there will be a cut, but I know the market was pricing in a 0.25%, and people who wanted really bullish action were hoping for a 0.5%. If CPI would have been above that 2.6, maybe they would have done it. Maybe they would have been more aggressive. I don't know. I just don't think we're going to see that 0.5%, and I think the 0.25% might already be baked in. So I think the market's just cooling off here a little bit. As long as Bitcoin doesn't go below the previous low, we just made a low at 53,000. It has bounced up nicely. It's down 1,000 right back on support. So this could just be normal market consolidation after that. What was that? A $4,000 rally off the lows for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think this is mostly just normal markets sort of movements day to day. Nothing catastrophic happened yesterday with the debate if you're a Trump supporter. I think what happened, though, is people's expectations for Kamala were actually pretty low because of what had happened with Biden. And so she came out more aggressive, more coherent, and just kind of performed above expectations. Trump probably came in at expectations. He was going on about cats and dogs at one point. It was a little like, come on, man. So that happened. I don't think it materially impacts the election at the end of the day, because nothing really mind-boggling happened. It wasn't like the first debate where it was just, wow, something needed to change. It's kind of like, all right, the status quo is the status quo here. It's a neck-and-neck race, and nobody knows who's going to win. It's going to come down to that day on November 7th or whatever it is, not that far off, and we'll see what happens there. I think, yeah, I agree. It's this market move may have actually more to do with the CPI rating. I've been on record saying that 0.25 is probably more likely, even before this reading came out. They normally don't do the jumbo cuts unless they feel it's sort of an emergency type situation. And my guess is they're going to slowly reduce the rates over a series of a few months and keep their eye on the data. They don't want to see inflation shoot up again. They're going to look at the labor market, which is weakening and cooling, but it's not in the gutter by any stretch. So there really wouldn't be there isn't a basis for them to take a lot of, quote, risk and do something a little bit out of the ordinary. So that was kind of my thought on it. I think we're looking at a 0.25, but it's going to be a series of cuts over a period of months. And we'll see what Powell says too, right? Like, his words at those meetings matter sometimes more than the numbers. So if he comes out ultra dovish, talking about, hey, we're full steam ahead with quantitative easing regime. We're looking to cut the rates 4 or 5 times into 2025. We're looking to get it down, to such and such level. That can be perceived as very bullish, very dovish. Conversely, if he comes out and says, we're looking at the data, we don't know, this will maybe just one of a few, it depends on what he says, right? And so let's say we'll all be watching that meeting. But one thing that I learned the other day, and it stuck with me, I watched a interview with Michael Saylor. And for those who do not know who Michael Saylor is, he's the owner of MicroStrategy. He's the ultimate Bitcoin bull. He's a billionaire. He pretty much pivoted his entire company into a Bitcoin company. It was a software as a service type of business that, had done well. And then he just all in Bitcoin, been buying Bitcoin, and how he's actually, their company's even building products and financial sort of products in the Bitcoin world. So they've really gone all in. And he said something that stuck with me. Bitcoin over the past 10 years has an average of 44% annual return. It smashes every other asset class out of the water. But with that, you have to accept the high level of volatility. And so you sort of have to keep your eye on the long-term prize. I know we like to talk about the day-to-day market movements and analyze those because that's kind of fun and interesting. But at the end of the day, long-term, keep your eye on the prize. Don't get shaken out by the ups and downs of the market. This asset class is beating every other asset class out of the water. Just think long-term and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, and I think another thing to go on that, it was kind of disappointing that Bitcoin, blockchain, crypto assets, none of those were topics in the debate. Obviously, again, ABC is Kamala Harris' favorite. She is anti-crypto. There's 8 million crypto holders in America, so obviously they weren't going to bring that up. But that could be some of the price that we're losing today. Maybe that was priced in. People thought that was going to come up since it is such a big campaign call for Trump. It was such a big campaign call for RFK Jr., and it was such a big call in general in life, in business for Elon Musk, and all those are on one ticket. So I think the market might be a little disappointed that we had no topics. There was nothing. The closest to it is there was a couple minutes on AI and a couple seconds on quantum computing, but nothing on Bitcoin, nothing on crypto, nothing on blockchain technology. So that was another disappointment that I saw in the debate as well.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest, because it's not a salient issue for the vast majority of Americans. Yes, I guess apparently 8 million people hold crypto, but people want to hear about the economy. They want to hear about the foreign wars, the problems in the Middle East. They want to hear about inflation. They don't, it's a niche topic. So
True.
for them,
There's some other ones that weren't mentioned too,
like
the inflation wasn't really covered very much. I mean, so I don't know. It just seemed
yeah,
very
it was
scripted and a whole lot of nothing to me. Like we said, I don't think anything changed with the debate. Pretty much status quo. No divisive topics, really. I mean, it was the same cool. They all hate each other on economy, or they disagree with each other on illegal immigration. And we'll talk about abortion and lies on one side and lies on the other. There's nothing that was exciting there. And I just wish that Bitcoin and crypto, since it's been so big in the forefront in our sphere, as well as Nashville and in between Anthony Scaramucci and Elon Musk, they're on two different sides of the aisle, but it's very pro crypto and everything with finance. I'm not surprised it didn't get talked about. I think that's just a disappointment in the market in general.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I would have loved to hear at the very bare minimum. I mean, Trump likes to go on tangents, talk about multiple topics. Why not bring it up and
shove it in there?
Do something. Yeah, put it in there, right? Instead of talking about cats and dogs, talk about Bitcoin. But in any event, didn't happen. I think the impact of the debate is going to be relatively short-lived. One way or another, things after a week or two tend to go back to the status quo. People kind of forget what happened. It was not catastrophic for either side. I don't think it was like incredible for either side. So it's going to go back to status quo, and it's a 50-50 toss-up, and we'll see what happens in Pennsylvania and Michigan and in Georgia and in the swing states, because that's what it's going to come down to. And folks just got to get out and vote, and we'll see what happens on November 7th there. But I think looking at things over the long haul, we're now moving much closer to the period, the post-halving period of Bitcoin, when it typically starts to have a sustained uptrend. October, November, December historically are great years for crypto. And my expectations is it's not going to disappoint. This time we've been in consolidation mode for 6 months. So people have been accumulating, weak hands have been selling. We've been sort of, creeping downward, but the start of the bullish chart remains intact. We need one catalyst, and my guess is it's going to be related to the interest rate cuts, and you can really start to see a sustained uptrend here. The miners are not going to let us down. I've always maintained, sort of tongue-in-cheek, that there are whales in this market, particularly the miners, that need the price to go up.
Yeah.
And they'll find a way to make it go up. I think hold a lot of Bitcoin, and they can manipulate it up or down depending on what they want to do. So I don't think they're going to let us down this time either.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate 2 months ago, it's probably June, you were predicting the first rate cut in September of 2024. And now it looks like we will get that. So that'll be another good guess. Also, we've been saying that the big catalysts don't really come until this fourth quarter. A, with the first rate cut. B, with the presidential election. C, we have $16 billion of stablecoins going into FTX creditor hands in the fourth quarter of 2024. Historical data, the end of this year is the start of the massive bull run into 2025. So that's still on our side. And now we have two crypto bullish campaign candidates for the presidential election in November as well. So things are still on track. People are getting tired. I even played indoor soccer last night, and a buddy of mine is big into crypto. He was talking about it, but he said all of his friends who are kind of no-coiners that he got involved, they're like, oh, I bought it up here at 60,000 and now we're down here, blah, blah, blah. None of them wanted to buy the $20,000 dip. Now they're getting sort of uneasy that they're $5,000 underwater, and that's why we have market cycles. The weak hands and the weak participants, they can't handle a 10% dip, but they want that 10x glory, and that's not the way the market works. So stay true to what you believe in, have conviction what you believe in. I know we say that a lot, but we just got to sit here and keep beating the table that the opportunity is still here. Nothing crazy has gone on. Bitcoin is still holding the low. Bitcoin is still above $50,000. It's still up 3x in the past year. And historically, we are getting to the point where the real fun begins.
Yeah, if you want the glory, if you want the 10x, you got to hold through the volatility. That's the bottom line. And it does take a few cycles to figure that out. This is not easy, right? It's not easy to see your investment, the value of your investment decrease in a significant way. But you just kind of have to get used to it. You have to think long term and accept that if you're going to get the 10x returns or 5x or whatever on Bitcoin, you're going to need to hold through the volatility and just be patient and understand where you are in the market cycle. The good news is for me, this week felt a little different. I don't know if it was just me, but the confidence level sort of started to creep back up. In fact, you could actually see it on the fear and greed index that they have there on CoinMarketCap. It started to creep back a little bit more towards neutral, a little bit away from fear. And also a few of my altcoin bags started to show some signs of life. We're obviously handling the Kai CTO. That's doing great. A week ago it was 900,000. Now it's at 1.5 million, and we're seeing buyers coming in. We're seeing more activity over there, more raiders, more people joining the voice chats. I'm seeing this happen across a few of my different coins and my holdings where there's just a little bit more activity and it seems a little bit more positivity coming from the market participants. And that's always a good sign.
Yeah, because in a lot of these small caps that we've recommended, these are whales in the market. People have been here for multiple cycles, and the gauge on them kind of gives us a really good gauge, an early gauge to the more novice retail investors. So if they're starting to have a little more confidence, they're starting to get a little more active, I think that leads me to believe that we are close to the turning point in this market. Like I said, Kaiken up from 900,000 to 1.5 million. Mellow Man still holding around that 11 to 12 cent mark, even with the markets down. Dubcat broke out. It's at 5.6 million now. These things continue to have strength, and these are really OGs, whales. People have been here multiple cycles that are in our community, and just seeing the activity from them is good to see. Also, Pulse Chain near its all-time lows, but PTGC, the one that we've talked about multiple times, is now approaching all-time highs, back to $23 million market cap from a $6 million market cap just 14 days ago. So activity is coming back. People are looking for opportunities to make money, make passive income, and they're starting to position their bags and their portfolios and these strong, small to mid-cap plays, looking for that big pump, that big run during the next alt season.
Yeah, always a good sign when you see the whales placing some bets again and getting back into the market. I think there's a lot of money sitting on the side in stable coins right now, or just in the big caps. People sort of waiting. I think there's a lot of people who probably don't trust the Fed to cut the rates, and they're waiting and seeing. I've been on record saying 100% rate cut in September for a long time now. So I fully expect that, but maybe there's people out there, I'm sure, who are in wait and see mode. So that'll happen. You then have the election. We'll see which way that goes. You got a few more catalysts, but I think 2025 is still going to look strong for us. We're getting into an era of easy money, quantitative easing. That's great for risk assets. So just keep eye on the prize long term, full conviction, have those strong plays that you believe in that have good fundamentals, good communities, good narratives. If it's a utility coin, good utilities, revenue generation, things like that. And I believe things will turn around for your bags, our bags, everyone's bags coming over the next few months here.
Yeah, and I think if things are rough for you and you're feeling really down in your portfolio, maybe you need to tune in more to Crypto Paradise. I just named 4 assets that were in much lower. So maybe that's why we're not as impacted, Ian. We're up 5x, 10x, 20x on some of these assets. We've been telling you repeatedly about them here on Crypto Paradise. We've had the founders on for interviews here on Crypto Paradise. So tune in, take a look at the projects we're still talking about. If we're still talking about them, we think they have higher to go. Is the easy 5x, 10x still there? Maybe it won't be as easy, but we still think they still have much more potential to the upside. And let's stay tuned to see if we can find any more micro cap and small cap gems, as some of these projects start producing products that will be used by the next generation of new memes or new utility tokens that can benefit rapidly, which might impact the price very quickly as well.
Yeah, excellent point. Mellow Man is a great example of that. They're about to release their raid bot to the wider public here, I believe, this Friday, perhaps by the time this video is out. They got their trade bot. That's a good example of a project that's building products that other companies will be using, and maybe you find out who's using that product. Maybe you get into them early. We'll have some tips. We'll have some tricks, but you got to stay tuned. You got to follow the channel. Not financial advice as ever. These are just our opinions, just our own personal investments and thoughts on these matters. But yeah, great chat today. And unless there's any final words, we'll see you on the beach.